And this is called hit. And then what we're going to do is, in the update, we're going to check to see if the user has touched the screen. Then again, okay, this is where it is. So we're going after something called touch collection of the touch panel. Your phones support up to 4 touch points. In this particular game, we're only going after the first touch point. So in this case, if we've got any points where the user is touching the screen when this game is updating, we're going to take the first touch location here. And if it's pressed, meaning the user is touching the screen as opposed to removing their finger from the screen, we're going to create a point from that position. That's here, touch point. We're going to take a rectangle that represents the ship's position, and then if the rectangle contains the touch point, we're going to play the sound. So let's run that. And now, again, I'm not sure if you can hear it, but if I click on the screen, I don't get a sound, but if I click on the ship, I'm getting a different sound. Can you guys hear that? Kind of? Okay. Well, I'm going to give you one more quick thing that'll be a representation of the hits, and that's text. So if I want to put text on the screen, what I need to do is create a font file. And a font file is simply an XML file that identifies a font that I want to use, in this case, Sego UI Mono, a font size which is 22 points, spacing, kerning, all that kind of stuff. I define the font, and then I use this font to display a string of text to the screen. I'm going to create a variable up at the top that's going to hold my score. Oops, no. It's going to be sprite font, game font. And I need a position for my text. Text position equals new vector 2. And we're going to put it just inside the top left corner of the screen. And then I need a variable to keep track of my score. We're going to start at 0. We'll load the font in our load content here. Content.load. We're going to convert it to a sprite font. Game display. Notice you don't need the .sprite font extension because here the asset name is simply game display. And then whenever the user scores a direct hit on the spaceship, we're going to add 1 to their score. And then when it's time to draw, we will draw our score. So we're going to draw it using that game font. We're going to have the words score followed by the actual number, and the position is that top left corner. And this should make our game worth 99 cents. So clicking on the ship, I get a score. Clicking off the ship, I get no score. So that's how you can draw some text. All right, so everybody get their credit cards out. 99 cents, you can make it payable to me. Edwin, are there any questions out there?
Any questions? All right, go ahead.
Yeah, so you're talking about those 99-cent, ad purchase. Is there an ad model in Windows Phone?
Is there an ad model in Windows Phone?
Yes, there's definitely an ad model in Windows Phone. Not only that, is we have a very easy way for you to add an ad banner to the bottom of a Silverlight app, or in fact, if your game, if I wanted to have a banner at the bottom advertising, things while the user's shooting at UFOs, I could absolutely do that. It's a very easy control to add. You get the same revenue model, which is 70-30. So you would get 70% of the ad revenue. And it's based on impressions, although really the number is based on total clicks over time. But it is based on impressions. So you just need to be showing the ad banner, and you can make a nice revenue stream from that.
Yeah, if you guys want to do some type of hackathon or work on this, I can help you monetize your apps. We've had students actually win a lot of money monetizing apps. Go ahead.
Another thing I was just wondering is, what sort of gesture support does Windows Phone support? Like have custom gestures like for your app or other things like that?
What type of gestures does Windows Phone support? What was the last part?
And can you have custom gestures?
Can you have custom gestures as well?
Yeah, there's standard gestures you can support, which would be swipes and flicks and pan gestures, pinch and zoom, zooming in and out with multiple touch points. You can interpret those as gesture right on the touchpad, which is great because you don't have to calculate how far does the user move to tell the difference between a swipe and a flick. You can just receive it as that actual event. If you want a lower level, then you can absolutely go after the raw touch points. But in fact, most games are gesture driven just because it's less calculations that you have to do.
Okay, another question, Glenn?
Can we get test phones to test our apps on?
Can you get test phones to test your apps on? I am the person to do that. If you want a test phone for testing your apps, email me. Let's make it happen. Cool?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
You can also email me.
And you can email Dean. Email both of us. We'll put your email address up here. But don't email us separately so you end up with 2 phones. Go ahead.
Is there an equivalent interface builder for this?
Is there equivalent to interface builder to this, Glenn?
For interface builder, that would be where you're actually writing Silverlight applications. That would give you a true design surface. I think Edwin's going to show that maybe in a bit. And that's more of a drag and drop, and I want to bring some buttons and a list box and some check boxes on.
Yep.
That is really not very well suited for 2D and definitely not for 3D gaming. You would need to use the XNA framework like we're doing here, where you're basically drawing everything yourself. Now that being said, you're not going to be expected to write line after line of code if you've got really complex game elements. Instead, you would wrap those up into a game component, and then the game system would say, hey, component, update yourself or draw yourself, and it would take care of that. It would take care of any interactivity that it's doing. Two spaceships crash together, they would need to both deform a certain way. So you can have all those things talking to each other, but again, you do have to write all the code to do that.
Okay. A lot more questions, actually. I'm going to reserve the shirts for good questions because I'm running out.
I'm going to show you one more quick thing, and that's something found in this starter kit. When you go to the download site for the tools, you also access the developer resources and training material. One of them is this starter kit, this one's called Platformer. There is a version of this for Xbox 360, phone, and PC. And really, there's hardly any difference between the code between any of it. But let me just run the Platformer real quick so you can see what it looks like. It's a really nice way to get started doing platforming game development because you can swap out all the assets. So there's some neat little animation going on here. I got my little character at the bottom of the screen. I can make them jump.
Hey Glenn, hold on. It's not updating the screen. Okay, hold on. Sorry, it's coming up now. Go ahead.
Yeah.
You're good.
So I got my little character there. I got some background music happening. Normally I would be able to control this with a tilt of my phone, but because I'm in the emulator, I don't really have good support for that. But it's just a nice illustration of that. So if you go and download the starter kit for the Platformer, that's a really great starting point for you.
Okay, question.
All right, Edwin, how much time do we have left in this session?
You got another at least 10 minutes, and then you said phone gap would be about 20 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay, so another good...
Are there any other XNA questions?
There are, hold on.
It's a more general question, but like Game Center on iOS, I assume there's some Xbox Live ecosystem where people can post high scores and compete with one another. So how do you integrate that with your games?
Is there an Xbox Live ecosystem? How do you integrate that with your games? Something similar to what's on...
Game Center on the iOS.
Game Center on the iOS?
Okay. So that's an excellent question. We do have the ability for Windows Phone games.
Hold on, Glenn. All right, Mass Effect or Gears of War 2?
Did he get a shirt?
Gears of War.
All right, go ahead, Glenn. Answer.
Okay. So the Windows Phone supports Xbox Live integration. And you saw that earlier with the demo of the Game Center on there. From a developer's perspective, you can write games for the Windows Phone and publish them through the marketplace using just